Okay, welcome back to I Wonder Wednesday, another wonderful episode of I Wonder Wednesday. Oh, my phone's sorry. Okay, there. Oh, that's better. So, in case you weren't here last week, I was on vacation. In case you were looking for the video, so yay, vacation! Everybody needs one. But I am back and here to talk just a little bit about confession. So 2 weeks ago, I talked a little bit about liturgy and what that means, what Work of the People actually is about. And today we're going to just take a little bit and talk about what part of that is. So this confession thing. Now, if you're like me and you grew up not Lutheran, or your experience of confession is going into a room and feeling kind of bad about whatever you said you did, and then being told what you have to do in order to make that go away, confession might have a really weird, kind of icky feeling for you. And if you've ever been in a worship service and you're singing and it's great and high energy and wow, yay, worship, and then you get to confession, you kind of feel like, oh, it's time to be somber and confession. I felt like that too, and this is one of those things that I really had to do some thinking about and research about and reading about in order to really understand why we do confession and sort of what we believe about confession. And so I think the feeling I have about confession has changed a lot since my Catholic upbringing. It's not a place of guilt or feeling bad, but it's a place of great joy and freedom. And so I just want to share a little bit about that. So confession, if you have grown up with that sort of guilt feeling thing, our Lutheran theology surrounding confession is that confession has two parts. There's our part and there's God's part. Now, these two parts, Luther really said to put very little emphasis on what we do and a lot of emphasis on what God does in confession. And this is because if we put all the emphasis on what we do in confession, how on earth do we ever know if it's enough? Did I do it right? Was it good enough? Did I remember everything? How do I know? How do I know? It's all about me. If we really place the emphasis on us coming to God and asking for forgiveness in this moment, and we really reflect on what God's action is in that moment, it becomes a place of freedom and joy and great relief in the moment of a worship service, that you really are preparing your heart to receive the word and the sacrament that is coming ahead of you in worship. Now, Luther called confession a healing medicine, and he said, why would you not want this? If you are sick, if you're a sinner, which we all are, of course, if you are sick, which is what Luther said, you would want this healing medicine. In fact, he even has this great quote where he says, you should want to run for more than 100 miles in order to get confession. And I love that image of just running at it. And he has another great quote. So what wonderful, precious, and comforting thing confession is. Such a blessing should not be despised, but when we consider our great need, we should long for it. So I think this is just a good reminder of that moment in a worship service when we do have that time to confess our sins, that it is not a moment for feeling guilty or feeling bad about ourselves, but it is a moment where we come before God. We are reminded how much we need God and how much God is doing for us, has done for us, and continues to do for us. So next time you are in confession, remember that moment when you hear either me or Chad, or if you're not a Prince of Peace member, if you hear your pastor preacher say, you are forgiven, God forgives you, that should be a moment of freedom and relief and joy. There should be joy in that moment for your heart knowing what God has done for you. So remember that the next time you confess. Feel that joy. Feel how different that feels than guilt and kind of icky somber. It should not feel like that. Confession is a powerful and joyful moment. So that is our I Wonder Wednesday for this week. Again, if you have questions that you want to have answered, send them on over. I would love to answer them for you. And with that, have a great week, and I hope to see you on Sunday.